7 super tips, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's a GIF hint for you. Oh God, that looks weird. But, sorry, let's do that again. Welcome to today's 7 super tips. I'm your host, Erik Qualman. A lot of you know me as Equalman. Today's guest, that's a GIF hint for you. Today's guest is Oscar award-winning Leonardo DiCaprio. And he's gonna give us 7 super tips to help unlock and unleash your inner superpower.
Being an actor is the first thing that I remember wanting to do in life. I remember at 14, 15 years old, watching some classic films, spending months and months watching all the great classics, all the great performers of the past, and being so incredibly inspired by them and saying to myself, one day I want to come close to doing something that good. So I think that thirst or that drive to just achieve what I believe is something as good as, those heroes that I have is what continues to make me want to do this.
It's interesting because I remember, you're sort of set up and you're put into this system where I think that you're supposed to be a jack of all trades, and you're 11, 12 years old, and you're sort of conditioned to say, well, the casting director's there and say, well, can you juggle? And you're like, absolutely I can juggle, can you ski? Hell yeah, I'm your man, I'll do whatever you want, little tap dancing show. So you're supposed to set yourself up as somebody that can, basically do anything that they want. And I remember sort of having that attitude for a while. And I didn't book a job for a year at 12, 13 years old. And I know that's that's like a big sob story, but but the truth is, it was that year of rejection where I finally said to I suppose I took a different attitude towards the audition process. And I started to get jobs after that. And I think it was really because I said to myself, I'm not dependent on this job. This isn't going to define me, and I started to sell myself less, prepare more for the roles, really investigate the characters as much as I could, and not feel like, my self-worth was dependent on whether I booked the job or not. And I think that's finally what clicked with me, and I realized that casting directors weren't always necessarily looking for the Broadway showman that could do whatever they wanted, but somebody that had, I don't want to say a little edge to them, but, a different attitude about the audition process.
I never knew that I could do it as a career. I never knew. It was the first memory that I had. It's the first thing I can think of is saying, I want to be an actor to my parents. And if I hadn't lived in Los Angeles and been in such close proximity to sort of the mecca of movie making, if I didn't have parents that said, okay, we'll drive you to auditions, we didn't have the economic means to, move camp from Idaho to Los Angeles because some snotty 10-year-old kid says, I want to be an actor. We did it, and after school I got to go on auditions, but it was always, and I've said this before, it felt like an elite group of people, and it felt like I would never belong to them. So once I got the opportunity to, for example, get the movie This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro, I said, wow, now I'm able to I might be able to steer the course of my career. I might be able to have a career similar to these guys that I so admire. And that I knew at 15 years old was the biggest gift in the world, and that's never left me. I've never that thirst or that hunger for wanting to give one great performance that I'm truly satisfied with, or be in one movie that I said, I love this film, is something that I don't know will ever be quenched. I don't know, and I think that's a good thing, because it keeps pushing you,
If it weren't for the fact that I had a mother that really took the time to listen to a kid that said, I want to do this for a living. This is what I know I want to do. This is my passion. A 10, 11-year-old kid. If it hadn't been for her taking me to auditions and the sheer proximity of going to a school that accepted me in Beverly Hills, and then being able to drive to the Valley or drive to Hollywood on the way back from school, I probably wouldn't be doing this for a living, because You know, if I lived in any other location, I don't think my dream would have been a possibility. You know, it's a combination of, you know, being in the right place at the right time and being prepared for it, and being aggressive about it and sticking with it. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'd done a lot of television and commercials before then, but it was really this one role that launched my career, and that was this boy's life. You know, that was the truth of the matter. I was at the right place at the right time and aggressively going out on auditions.
Everything at the end of the day when you're making a movie starts with the material and how well written the script is. I've never seen a silk purse made from a sow's ear. I've never seen it happen wherein a crap script with crap characters, a director somehow found a way to make a masterpiece out of it. And that's the constant struggle that we all sort of have as actors, is finding those gems, and that's why people grab onto them like vultures. When you find a great piece of material or a great script, it's like...
That was, yeah, I mean, that was one of those incredible auditions that came around that I suppose every kid had been waiting for a long period of time, because it's just not that often that you get a starring role above Robert De Niro in this incredible, you know, screenplay, and it was, you know, Ellen Barkin and Michael Caton Jones. I mean, it was just, everyone was sort of fiending for this role. And I got down, I suppose, to the final five, and there was like a last sort of day. Toby was there, and I do remember thinking to myself, I got to do something. I got to do something to stand out. And in the audition, there was Art Linson, Michael Caton Jones. Art Linson was the producer, and De Niro. And I remember there was a mustard jar scene, and he had to jam a mustard jar in my eye repeatedly. It was an abuse scene. And the script sort of didn't call for it, but I got up and he said, "Now, is it empty? Is it empty?" And I got up and I screamed, "No!" Like completely unnecessary, but I screamed in his face, and I sat there, you know, with my head, you know, looking like a red tomato, and everyone started laughing at me in the entire room. De Niro, everybody was in hysterics, and I sat there frozen, thinking, "Oh my God, I just screwed this entire opportunity up." And I just sat there frozen. And then, you know, Bob, in traditional De Niro fashion, kind of just looked at me and went, "It's good, it's good, it's good." And then, you know, we carried on doing the scene. And I think I actually had dinner with De Niro recently, and he told me, no, I was the one who said you should get the job, which was very sweet. I think everyone can always, you know, brush up on their technique. It is, you know, what we do is takes a lot of research. I mean, if you really want to inhabit a role, it takes a lot of work and training, and I think it's incredibly important to constantly, no matter how successful you are, it's incredibly important.
The summer and summer movie season is coming to an end. What a bummer! But what's not a bummer is these 7 super tips, because I hope they help unlock and unleash your inner superpower to really kickstart in the fall here, right now. Be your best ever. This is Equalman, reminding all of us, it's not what we take from the world, it's what we leave behind. Summer's coming to a close. What a bummer! But my hope is not a bummer is these 7 super tips from award-winning, Oscar-winning, Leonardo DiCaprio? Leonardo DiCaprio. Aye. All right. Bestselling. Oh, oops, that's not it. Sorry. Small smirk in 3, 2, 1. Smirking's weird. All right, here we go.